I guess first we're going to tell you what the goal is here. And I'm a business owner. Sean's a business owner. We know it's hard. We know it's difficult. And you hear all the time that many business owners don't necessarily own an asset. They don't own a business. They own a job. We all own a job to some degree. We all struggle with hiring, delegation, building teams. And the only real way to have an asset that can make money while you sleep or grow bigger than just you and the work that you can do is to be a really good, delegator and be really good at hiring and building teams. I'll introduce myself. My name is Nick Huber. I own a real estate private equity company with 47 employees, 1.9 million square feet of storage, and several other businesses, a recruiting firm with 100 plus employees that Sean's a partner of with me, several other agencies, small businesses. I've directly hired probably 100 people in my career, and indirectly 300 plus are working at my companies today. Sean, you want to introduce yourself, and then we'll kind of
Yeah.
let
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
know what to look for.
Happy to. By the way, Nick, check this out. I got the Red Con going. Me and Nick were we hosted this event, and these guys make this energy drink that is literally too much. It's way too much. But for this, I thought, okay,
450 milligrams of caffeine.
exactly. I'm feeling a little sick, so I just thought, why not just turbocharge myself before this thing? All right. Yeah. So I'm Shaan. I do a couple things. I have a media company, so I have a podcast that reaches, I don't know, probably like 30 million downloads a year right now. It's one of the top 5 to 10 business podcasts in the world. Um, I own an e-commerce company that's been bootstrapped and scaling. I think we'll do probably about 30 million this year in revenue. Um, and then I buy companies. So I invest and buy minority stakes in companies beyond that. That's how I got involved with you and Shepherd, as well as a handful of other businesses, and probably invested in about 100 businesses total across startups and private equity over the years. And today, going to share basically as much as I can. We have, I think, an hour. So the idea is, if you're here, you showed up, kudos to you. The goal is to level up your skills as a CEO, as a founder, as an exec in your company. So how do you get better at hiring and delegating? Everybody, like, completely non-controversial to suggest that getting better at hiring and delegating is going to be really important to you and probably critical for any business leader. However, how do you actually get better at it, and how do you actually learn from operators who are doing it? Hopefully, we'll share a couple things. I'm not saying these are the best or that these are the only ways. These are just the ways that work for me. And so I'm going to
Mhm.
share on my side. I think I have 4 or 5 ideas of things that work for me that I'll happily open source and share with everybody here. And by the way, Nick, are we okay turning the chat on? I like the energy from the chat. I know it's a little
I
distracting,
think
but
the chat is a massive distraction personally. Let's kick it on for like the last 15 minutes. Let people
all right.
mix it up.
But there is a Q&A, right? So people
Yep.
can ask questions in the Q&A. We'll try to get to those as we go. All right. Where
Yeah.
do you
When
want to
you're
start?
talking, I'll look at the Q&A. When you're talking, I'll look at the Q&A. I think what we want is really to get people out here with a couple what Sean likes to call gold nuggets. Okay. So when you're watching this thing and an idea happens, and look, you're not going to be able to apply all this to your business, but when an idea comes to you, I want you to write it down and kind of latch onto that one thing that you might be able to take out of here and improve your business. That's called a gold nugget. We want to leave you with at least three of them. And if you hit a gold nugget, drop it in the Q&A. We'll draw some attention to it. But I want to start by asking you a question. I want to prove a point here. The answer to this question is pretty similar across everybody that I've asked it. Shaan, what is the most difficult business in the world? Like this is the business that we hear is most likely to fail. 80% plus fail. Most of the owners have a job. Most of the owners, can't actually own an asset that they can go on vacation. They can never leave where they are working. Yeah, you want to take a guess at what
I
that
think I
is?
started one of these. A restaurant is my guess. I've started one of those. That was my first business.
It's a restaurant, yes. And I want to prove a point that, okay, even the hardest business, you can point to the most hard, to operate business in the world. And I'll show you an example of a company that has thrived. Texas Roadhouse, one of my favorite restaurants. I love this example. 82,000 employees, 630 locations, 130 employees per location, $4 billion in annual revenue and 6.3 million in revenue per store. Shaan, 1.1 million in profit, $693 million profit in the throughout the company, $6.5 billion market cap. So next time you're telling yourself, I'm in too hard of a business, you're a business owner, you're beating yourself up, you're blaming the labor market, you're blaming your employees, you're blaming how hard of a business you're in. I want to tell you that, hey, no matter what business you're in, there's been somebody to do it well. And the common, occurrence across the people who have done it well is the fact that they're very good at hiring and delegating. So one thing that I want you to take away, this is potentially a gold nugget, is I want you to take ownership over your hiring and your delegating. It's on you. You as the business owner. If your employees are messing up, it's your fault. If, you can't find enough people, look across the street in your town. There's probably a Lowe's and a Home Depot who have 200 plus employees working full time, just over minimum wage. They found a way to staff, they have found a way to hire, and they just work at it, right? They go out and find who they need to find.
Okay. Yeah, I totally agree. I'm guilty of that. Blame the environment, blame the circumstance, blame how hard it is versus a very simple question I ask a lot of times is somebody solve this problem, right? So I'll do this all the time in my company. It's super annoying, but somebody's saying how difficult something is, why it's hard, why it's whatever. Somebody solved this problem, right? Okay, who solved this problem? How do they do it? Let's start with that. Let's work backwards from there. Let's find maybe there's some differences in what we can do and versus what they can do. But such a powerful question. Somebody solved this, right? Somebody's doing this. Who's doing it and how? And so I think that's really useful. Can I give you one of my frameworks that I like here?
By the way, you have a note. You have a note. Is this the 1 minute management technique?
Yeah, 1 minute management. So,
Okay.
So 1 minute manager. I don't know how popular this book is. I read this. This book was in a bathroom at my uncle's house, and it's a thin book. And I like thin books because most books, as we know, are like 80 to 90% fluff. So I was like, all right, I think I could actually read this kind of in one sitting. Let's see what this is all about. 1 minute manager. I like that promise because I didn't particularly enjoy management. And so this is book about this guy who goes to work for this guy and he teaches him the secret of 1 minute management. So it has three components, but it's basically like 1 minute goals, 1 minute reinforcements, and 1 minute criticisms. It basically shows that as a manager, it doesn't actually take that much time to empower and put an employee in the right zone to be able to operate. So the first thing is this idea of 1 minute goals. And I've stolen this. I call it one metric management. So basically what I do in every company is there is a team goal. So I'll use my e-commerce store as an example. So this year, team goal is 30 million in revenue with 5 million of profit. Okay, cool. Everybody knows that. And I've said that 100 times so that I make sure everybody knows it. Repetition.
That's the one big metric. That's the KPI.
It's the team metric. But nobody individually can go get 30 million of revenue or 5 million of profit. And so there's this disconnect. So then I draw a little line and I say, in order to do that, we got to do these 7 things. And basically every function has now one metric that they get managed by. And this sounds very simple, but the reality is if you go look under the hood, most people do not have this. So most people, you say, if I pluck in a random employee out of your company and I say, what is the key KPI that you are judged on, the single key KPI that you are judged on? About half people, none. They don't even have anything, right? It's like, they'll tell you what they are working on today, maybe what like the month is all about, but they don't know what metric that they are actually, laddering up to. What's the number one metric, their North Star? Even if they do that, they don't necessarily know what was it last year, what is it currently, and what is the goal. Beyond that, they don't know, are we already on track to hit it? Meaning we don't have to do anything new. We just simply have to execute the current game plan and it will happen. Versus sometimes you have a metric that's by default, we are not, default alive. We are not on trajectory to hit that. I'm going to have to do something. I'm going to have to change something. I'm going to have to pull a rabbit out of a hat in some way. And so the idea of one metric management is this. Go to everybody in your team and give them the single metric that they're going to be measured on that ladders up to the team goal. And when you do that, you want to make it clear. You want to reinforce it to them every month. Cool. How did that, so in 1 minute, you can check in. I just tell everybody in Slack, I say, hey, report on your metric. Then they have a format that I wrote, which is my metric is X. Last year was Y, currently Z. And here's how off it is from the goal. Status, we are on track to hit it. Just got to keep doing what we're doing. Or status, we have not yet figured out the way to do this. Like, for example, maybe it's my ads team. I say, your goal is to hit this return on ad spend. Maybe you have to hit a 1.9 or whatever. Mm-hmm. They might say, hey, we're currently at a 1.3. We don't know how we're going to hit the 1.9. So we're currently off track. That's okay. You don't get beat up for being off track. We're currently off track. We're going to do these 3 experiments to try to get there. Versus somebody else might say, hey, we're trying to keep our margins at X. We're already on track to do that. We got to keep doing what we're doing. Fantastic. And so with one metric management, you give everybody absolute clarity of their role. What are they trying to do? And then they get ownership of how they hit it. So they know what the scoreboard is and they know what we're going to look at. They know how they're going to be comped against, but then they get the freedom of the how, and they're going to articulate how they plan to go get there. You might help them figure out a how or give them some feedback, but ultimately they own the how.
This is a framework to run any business, really. I mean, because most businesses are a math problem. Let me kind of repeat back to you to kind of drive this home. I own a business that wants to do $2 million a month of revenue. If we know we do that, then everybody wins. That's the big company metric. That's the 1 minute thing. Draw the lines down to the marketing team. We need 400 leads a month. That's what we need. Then you draw the line down to the sales team. The sales team, we need to close 40% of those leads that we have. Then you go over to the operations team. We need to actually drive this much revenue and get the people through the company at this speed. And you're all solving for that same thing at the top. Is that right?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Love it. Love it.
And this idea of reducing your business to a formula, great thought exercise. Almost every business is a funnel. And you could basically say our success is, incoming leads times conversion rate times average contract value equals revenue times margin equals profits, right?
Mm-hmm. You work back profits to get enterprise value too of how valuable your actual business is.
And then times multiple, exit multiple equals business value. Okay, cool. And then you basically say, all right, which one of those numbers do we want to really, point at? Or, hey, you're working on leads and you're working on conversion rate, and you guys are going to work together because leads and conversion rate are linked. But like, we can draw this whole business on a napkin, and that's the job of a leader. A leader's job is to provide more clarity. Right? You bring clarity to the fog, provide more clarity than anyone else. A leader is not the person who, has the right label. A leader is not the person who has been there the longest. The leader is the person who brings the most clarity. So that's another golden nugget of what is an actual leader in your company. Its job is to bring clarity to themselves and those around them. And you can identify future leaders by figuring out who's consistently bringing clarity, because I need to keep leveling them up.
I love that. I have a saying that's every company has one of two problems. There's the two problems that can exist in business. You either don't have enough customers, you have a sales and marketing problem, or you don't have the ability to actually deliver for the customers that you have. You have a people problem. And I feel like owning a business is whack-a-mole between selling more, getting more customers in the door, and then staffing up, hiring, delegating in order to actually deliver the system. And I think that works real well in what you're talking about with a framework.
Love it. Can I tell you one I learned from Andrew Wilkinson? So
I've learned a lot from Andrew. I'm excited to hear.
Andrew runs a portfolio of like 30 companies. So, and and then when you meet the guy, he's not stressed out day to day, or
his phone doesn't ring.
Yeah, his phone, he's got his phone in a drawer over there. His calendar's clear. He's reading books. I'm like, all right, I want to learn something from this guy when it comes to hiring and delegating, because it seems like a tough thing to do. And he has this phrase called hire 1 to hire 10. And hire 1 to hire 10 is, there's a temptation when you have a business to hire, sort of like bottoms up. You hire like a junior person before you hire a senior person. Or you hire this mid-level person because they can solve the problem today that you're having right now, but they may not be able to solve the global problem or the next 3 problems that come up. But now you've hired this one person. And maybe sometimes to hire them, you gave them kind of a more senior title than they really wanted just to get them in. So Andrew has a different approach. If he's got a set of problems, he'll say, who's the one person I hire that's going to hire the next 10 people? Because then I didn't just hire 1, I actually hired 10.
Yeah, he didn't have to go in and build that team himself. He hired the person to build the team.
Exactly. And then that person obviously has more ownership of it. So not only do they do it, they do the work, they take the time to do it, but they also have the ownership of it. So if they build the wrong team or they need to make a decision, it's not, this is Andrew's guy. Andrew hired this guy before me. I don't know if I can adjust it. I just sit here and bitterly complain. No. I'm hiring you. Your job is to build this team over time. Today, you can solve these problems yourself. But as we go, the expectation is you're going to end up being the guy who hires the next 10. And he'll bring in people basically at a more senior level before junior. I don't think that's always true, but I think it is a useful heuristic. The times where I would say it's not always true is you may not actually end up needing 10 people in a division. And if that's true, if that's not the case, hiring the one quick problem solver or the one person who's going to do this, and it might be a one-man department forever. That's when you don't want to do that.
I think that's a really tricky framework, because I would guess 90% of the people in this watching us talk right now, whether you're listening to this later on a podcast or live in the workshop, they might not have a big enough business with big enough profit margins to go hire one person to hire 10. They need to get more tactical and delegate. And I think the reason why delegating is so hard is because nobody teaches you how to do it, right? There's no English teacher in eighth grade that's going to say, hey, Nick, I need you to write a 5-page paper, but why don't you get another class, get somebody else in your class to write it while you go hang out with your friends? Or a track coach, I ran Division I track, and there was never a day where I showed up to practice and he said, Nick, we actually have 400s and some circuits and then weight training today. Why don't you go find a freshman to do all that stuff for you? It's just not natural, right? So, and Arnold, I go back to Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's talking about, if you want to look like me, you have to actually get out in the gym and do the freaking work. Too many people, they're watching YouTube videos, they're arranging their diet plan, they're reading books about muscles, but they're not actually getting out there and doing the work. There's one way to learn how to delegate, and it's actually to practice. And so many people have not practiced. They've never done it. So I'll just say, like, make a hire and do it, because there's really only so much you can learn from listening to us and reading books. You got to actually work it.
Yeah, you want to take this framework and then try to apply it, right? That's the thing. You got to shrink the gap between hearing it and doing it. And so I think that you probably need about 20 hires to end up being any good at it. Let's assume that for a second. Yeah. You're going to think you're good and you're going to try to do good. I'm not saying try to do a bad job, but let's just respect the fact that most things we do in life, we kind of suck at the beginning, and it takes practice reps to get good. And 20 practice reps is not a whole lot, especially with something as complicated as hiring. And so we're going to do that. Now, I actually shrink that down even to an individual job role. So I guess first one point, you're absolutely right. Take action. Be okay with the fact that you're probably going to suck at hiring for the first 20, but let's get those reps in so that you actually get good at this.
Super uncomfortable, super scary, not fun. It's arguably trusting somebody else to come in your business and do some work is one of the most uncomfortable parts of running a business.
Exactly. Now, even within a role, I don't know if you do this, but one thing that works for me is when I'm hiring, I call it writing and rewriting the job description. So I will always write a job description first. I'm surprised when some people don't do this. I don't write it like a generic, Indeed.com job description where like 90% of it is boilerplate and 10% of it is the actual role. I write the actual role, and I'll show you. I'll actually screen share some job descriptions that I think are pretty interesting that I wrote on Twitter. Can I screen share now? Actually, I'll
let me see if I can give you permission here. I might have to make you the host. Okay, you should have permission now to screen share.
Okay, let's try this. Okay, you guys can see this.
Yep.
So, okay, here's a. What's that?
I think it went away. Yeah, there it is.
Okay, so here's a job description for the CMO I ended up hiring for my e-commerce brand. So, hiring a CMO / head of growth for my D2C brand. Notice I didn't actually know the role I wanted to hire for. Is it a CMO? Mm-hmm. Is it a head of growth? I don't really know. I'm going to throw both out there because my plan was I'm probably going to have to rewrite this job description. In the end, I figured out through the process of interviewing, I need a CMO. And then the next thing I do is try to bait the right person in. So I think about what would attract the perfect person. It's kind of like dating, right?
Something that's already working, a business that's already showing promise. They're not going to necessarily be eating dirt on day one.
The trick to dating is not to find a pickup line, is to make yourself somebody worthy of dating, right? That's the real trick of dating, right? So exactly. So same thing. Have a good business, but then explain the types of things that would make somebody want to come work for you. So we're growing really fast. Great. Then what do I think we need? So instead of just saying boilerplate stuff, I tried to describe in plain Jane English what we actually need. We need somebody who's ace at creative, really good at creative and scaling ads on Facebook and Google, plus email and SMS. Then hands-on doer, not just a people manager. So this is another trick. People don't write the anti description. So basically, what do you not want? So for me, I want talking to 2 or 3 people. I realized, oh man, these guys just want to manage other people.
They're messengers. They just pass messages around the company.
I need somebody who's willing to, roll their sleeves up and work and can manage people versus somebody who manages people. And okay, if emergency happens, I'm willing to do some work myself. So I write this and I write fat salary, bonus directly working with me. I didn't actually know what the salary should be. So I just wrote this down here. And then in talking to the first 5 people, I then realized, this is what I want. This is what I need. This is what I don't want. Here's what the salary range should actually be. And I go and rewrite it and I do it again. And so writing and then talking to people and then rewriting the job description is a natural part of the process and will lead to a much higher rate of success. I'll show you one more description. I'll show you 2 quick ones. So we built Milk Road, which was a newsletter. We built it to the largest crypto newsletter in the world in 1 year and sold it. And so I needed to hire a writer. Why? Because it was a pain in the ass to wake up every day and have to send an email that was really good every day at 6 a.m. I just didn't want to do it anymore after, the first 20 days. And so I said, what do I want? I said, well, instead of saying come write for my newsletter you've never heard of, because we were not that popular at the time, I said, okay, I can't frame this as in my company is so badass, but I'll frame it as in you would become a badass. And so at the time, Packy McCormick and Wait But Why, they were like prolific writers that everybody liked and respected. And so I said, who wants to be the Packy or Wait But Why of crypto? Right. So I made the role sound super appealing because my company, honestly, at the time was not. I said, I'm hiring over here about you. You're into crypto. You write great content. You'd love to make a living doing this. And that's what I kind of learned was the people I wanted to hire, they were people that just wanted to write anyways for fun. And the idea that they could make a living doing this was even better. Mm-hmm. And then instead of saying, email me, right? It's like, send me a sample of your recent content. I didn't want to waste time with job interviews. I wanted to just see your writing because I would always rather trade watching you, seeing your actual work versus you trying to tell me how great you are at working. Yep. Right. So little things you can steal in the nuances of how to write an effective job description.
So I take two things away from this. I think number one is that a little bit of friction in a job interview process is good, meaning somebody just going on Indeed and spraying and praying job applications to 500 people in an hour. You as an employer, somebody like that applies to your job. Guess what? You're going to have they're very unlikely to show up for the interview. They're not going to really care, and they're not going to need or want your job. You put that little thing in there. I do the 1 minute video. Send me a 1 minute video. Make a little bit of work in the process to make sure that they're serious and they actually want the job. That's a really good bonus.
Oh yeah, we're hiring a sales role right now, and we were like, cool. We're simply going to eliminate everybody who does not follow up because, like, if you're a sales guy and you don't follow up for this job, I don't trust you as a sales guy. Yep. Period. So if you don't immediately follow up once or twice, like you're out. You've been disqualified. Here's another example: finding an intern. So you said adding friction or sort of repelling certain people away. This is a good example of that. So I said, I'll pay you, but this won't make you rich. It's going to be hard, but you'll learn a lot. Sometimes I'll forget that you're young and you've never done this before. I'll ask you what you think. It's not a pop quiz. And if I say, can you do that? Just say yes and figure out how to do it later. And then I said, I'll push you into the pool, but I won't let you drown. I'll be brutally honest with you. I might be the first person to do that. You'll get 3 years of experience in 1 year. Blah, blah, blah. I don't drink coffee, so don't worry. You'll never have to make one. Right. And this was, again, a unique job description. Why? Because I was like, how do I get a better person versus the average person? Well, if I put out an average job description, I'm going to get an average person. If I put out a slightly more effort, more resonant job description, I'm going to get a better person out of it. So
one thing that I take away from this is that people don't actually. Can you go back to it? Let me see that one more time.
Yeah.
I forgot what I was going to say. You're managing expectations, right? So too many business owners, they're going to get an interview and they're just going to talk about all the rosy things of the job. They're going to try to talk that person into being excited and make it sound amazing. And then as soon as they get in the door, as soon as it gets hard, as soon as it's actual work, these people are like, oh, this is not what I signed up for. What the heck? So it's really not just a sales pitch when you're interviewing people. You're really managing expectations and trying to get people to, know that it's going to be hard because every job's hard.
Right. What's another kind of key tip or key?
I'll go a little bit more tactical. When I'm looking for employees, and I'm from the service business world. First business was a lawn care. My second business was a moving company. I got in the habit of running around daily life with a pocket full of business cards. And I was in. This is a really good story. I was in upstate New York, Ithaca, New York, at a Walmart. It was like 8 p.m. My wife had run in to grab something in the Walmart. I was out in the car and I see this kid, 25 years old, so about my age actually at the time, not a kid. He was running through the Walmart parking lot. Running. He was literally in a light jog through the Walmart parking lot. He had one of those reflector vests on and he was running around picking up carts, like hustling, like running. And he's pushing them through. And as he's going by, he like scoops and picks up a piece of trash and jams it in his back pocket. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, I have never seen anybody at Walmart that doesn't walk like 1 mile an hour, doesn't want to be there, super grumpy, doesn't care. So I kind of like walk up to this kid and I'm like, hey, like, why are you trying so hard? Why are you going so fast? He goes, actually, there's a varsity basketball game right now. It's going on over at the high school and that game's going to get out and it's going to be flooded with people. And the cart guy didn't show up and I got to get carts back here right away or this is going to be a big problem. And something clicked in my head. I was like, holy cow, this guy's making $12 an hour back in 2013 at a Walmart, but he cares about his job. I instantly pulled out a business card and said, hey, And this is my trick. I never really ask directly. I ask a very vague question. Hey, do you know anybody who might want to work for 20 bucks an hour? I run a local moving and storage company. It's a dynamic environment. It's fun. The time goes quick. If you have any friends who work as hard as you do, have them give me a call with this business card. I've done this to bartenders. I've done this to Starbucks baristas. I've done this to a lot of different Chick-fil-A. A Chick-fil-A driver we ended up, a Chick-fil-A checkout line kid we ended up hiring. But I'm handing them the business card and I'm directly, almost directly, but indirectly soliciting them to work for me. 3 hours later, when the kid got off his shift, he sent me an email. We set up an interview. He ended up being a phenomenal employee for my moving company. He quit his job at Walmart because I could pay him $7 an hour more. And it was amazing. So like nitty gritty tactical gold nugget. Keep a I can call that a gold nugget too. Keep a business card in your back pocket and just be aware. Be aware when you see somebody at their job who cares. They move fast. They have awareness. They have some of these things that, hey, I could teach this person to do anything. So I've made some of my best hires that way.
You're delivering a compliment first and foremost. Hey, I noticed that you really hustle with this, man. I know you don't have to, but you do. Or, hey, I noticed that table was pretty, they were a little uncomfortable, but you dealt with that really well. You got great people skills. Yeah. At the very least, you're delivering a great compliment. You say,
yep.
I run a business over here and we do this. We're always looking for people like you who are great at this. If you're looking for another opportunity, maybe a way to level up and use those skills, I'd love to talk to you. Right.
Yeah. I think the second gold nugget is it doesn't have to be a high risk hire. It doesn't have to be a CMO. It doesn't have to be a head of growth. It doesn't have to be $100,000 a year plus salary. You can bring people on for temporary positions. And you can use a company like supportshepherd.com to literally hire somebody overseas for $1,200 a month. That's not a big financial risk. If that employee, maybe your business isn't quite ready for it. Maybe you're unsure about revenue. Maybe you can't afford somebody for 50 grand a year, 75 grand a year. You can do some of these things to get this practice hiring and delegating in a low risk way.
Right. And both, let's answer a question for the chat. So both me and you are obviously big proponents of hiring overseas talent. It's, not only is it cost effective, it's just more productive in many cases and creates an amazing geographic arbitrage. Nick is asking, if you're working with a remote virtual team and you don't know exactly what to tell them to do, how do you get them to come up with solutions for you? So he says, I'm hiring them because they're supposed to be the social media experts, and I don't have the expertise or clarity in exactly what to tell them what to do. Basically what he's saying is, how do I hire people overseas and trust them to be able to figure out the solutions if I myself don't know how to solve that problem? And so what would be your kind of quick take on that question? I think I have an answer too.
Oh, man, that's a tough one. I mean, look, part of it's just practice, right? You got to just throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. And also, you can find folks with pretty good experience. I mean, we found engineers in Colombia that have, been like amazing at breaking apart a building in AutoCAD and doing, site plans. We found financial analysts that are better at Excel and financial modeling than we are, that run, divisions of our acquisitions team. So I'd say hire for some of those skills that you don't have would be my answer.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think most people think of hiring overseas, you're hiring just like some grunt work labor that's data entry or something very low skill. That might have been true, 15 years ago, not true anymore. And so you just had Shepherd pulled up. Shepherd's a site where basically they have recruiters on the ground. So they'll go and you just tell them what you need. So I went to them. I'm like, hey, I have an e-commerce business and I need an inventory forecaster. When I look at people in the United States, they're like 150 to 200K for this job. It's too expensive for me. I just can't afford that, but I still need the job done. Can you find me somebody who's got this experience? I just told them, find somebody who's done this for a brand that does more than 10 million in revenue, that has this many SKUs, and has specifically solved this problem before. They've set up and created a forecast to model and do what's called demand planning. And so they find me somebody. All right, great. Now this person comes in. And so most of the time when you hire remote talent, you're hiring them to do things where you've kind of figured out what to do. You just need somebody to do it well on a day-to-day basis. That's 80% of the time. And that's the easy case. Nick is asking about the 20% of the time, the more tricky version where it's not all figured out and you're using this remote talent to do it. I'll tell you one little hack that I do. When I bring them on, I say, look, we don't know exactly how we're going to do this. Okay. We don't know the solution. I can't tell you how to do it. You may not know exactly how to do it in our use case, in our specific situation. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to spend the next 10 days and we're just going to look at how other people do this. So first thing I want you to do is here's the names of 4 competitors. I want you, let's take his example of social media. I want you to go to their, top 2 social media channels, Instagram and TikTok or whatever. And I want you to show me what they're doing. So basically, here's some questions, that I think might be good. You need to add to these questions. How many posts do they do per week? What type of content do they do? Is it educational? Is it entertainment? Is it whatever? Go look on LinkedIn and find out who's running it for them that we can learn from. And, what is the average kind of success that they get? What's a benchmark of success? Because neither you or I know going in. We're blind. And so they create basically a little research report. So they just go and they've created a slide deck. And I say, send me, work on this. And I say, send me slides by end of today, even if you're not finished, right? That's a key. You don't want somebody to just go work for days and days and days until they get some perfect product that when you see it, you're like, this isn't even what I wanted. So I say, send me wherever you're at by the end of the day. Then I do the same thing the next day. I give them some feedback and they do it again. Pretty quickly, we figured it out together, right? So we will either reverse engineer what other companies do that are, again, somebody solved this problem before, right? So I go find somebody who solves the problem and I reverse engineer what they're doing. We just kind of take notes and we say, all right, well, we can kind of steal that as a baseline. Or 2, we find people that are not necessarily competitors. I'll say, go find 5 people to talk to. And you're going to send them a message that basically says, hey, I saw you do X role at Y company. We're big fans of you guys. You guys do a great job. I was hoping you could do me a favor. I just got hired for this job. And to be honest, I'm not exactly sure where to start. I know you probably felt that way when you first started. Specifically, I have these 3 questions about doing this thing. So I don't ask for, they don't ask for a call. They write down the questions, let them reply asynchronously. And then they start getting mentors. And so basically people who have done it before will then reach out to them and tell them, oh, here's what you need to do. Do this, this, this. Hey, let me send you the Excel template we use. And suddenly this person is now trained how to do it. And it's very, very simple to do that. That all happens in the first, 10 days of hiring the person.
And I think there's another interesting side of that is that people think when they go to hire an employee, you hear all this talk. First of all, you hear Steve Jobs and Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg talk about the key to success is hiring amazing people, right? How did you become successful, Steve? He's like, well, I was just blessed to hire such amazing, unbelievable people. And me as a business owner in the early days, I was like, how am I supposed to find amazing people to drive a box truck or run a lawnmower or, take data out of this cell and put it in that cell? And I realized pretty quick that the key is not actually hiring great people. It's about building a business where normal people can thrive. Okay. That's a potential gold nugget right there. I'm going to say it again. We've been told our entire lives that the key to doing well in entrepreneurship is to hire great people. Look for amazing people. That's all bullshit. The key to success in business is to build a business where normal people can thrive. And then there's the other side of that where it's cool to talk online and social media about how all employees want autonomy. They want to make their own schedule. They want to figure things out themselves. They want to solve problems. They want to work in an environment where, it's a little bit chaotic. They're making decisions. They're solving problems. I have found through hiring hundreds of people that is also bullshit. People don't actually want autonomy. They want to be told by their boss how to come in, how to win, how to do their job well, and then they want to go home at 5 o'clock and watch Netflix. Like that's just the sad truth. If they wanted a chaotic environment, if they wanted to solve problems, make hard decisions all day, they'd be an entrepreneur. So as an entrepreneur, we kind of think that everybody's like us, right? We're good at making decisions, dynamic environment. We can just figure things out as we go. As a business owner, again, another potential gold nugget, if you set your employees up to succeed and set your employees up to win and tell them exactly what to do, give them very clear direction. And I think, Shaan, what you're talking about is actually giving them pretty clear direction. Like you guys are just solving a puzzle, solving a problem. There's not a lot of, dynamic chaos of, oh man, this is an environment, this is a question we've never seen. Boom, we're going to go figure this out together in a step-by-step methodical way. And then you're going to know how to win. You are going to have your guidance then. And I think that's a pretty powerful revelation as a business owner that not everybody's like you. People want to be told what to do. People want to have structure. They want to do a good job. They want to make customers happy so that they can go home feeling like they're doing well, right?
Exactly. I think 2 things you just said are great. The build a business. Warren Buffett says a similar thing. He says, assume you want to invest or buy a business that can be run by monkeys because eventually it will. And
Yeah.
people don't like to hear that because it's sort of like, oh no, I want to have a business with average people. Look, let's not lie to yourself. Do you really think you are poaching the top talent in the world? Right? Oh, we have a world class team, and they're like an HVAC company in Idaho. It's like, what are you talking about? Right? Like, you know,
Yeah.
even Google can't say it with a straight face. Do you think you really can? Of course, you're going to find people that are star performers. You will. What you don't want to do is have the false belief that it requires only star performers in order to make progress. I think that's the
I have another really tactical piece of advice that I want business owners to walk away from
yeah,
this
hit it.
webinar with. I think when an employee comes to you with a problem, either they call you, they Slack you, they email you, they have a problem. They don't know what to do. An example, early days, one of my customer service reps called me, "Hey Nick, I'm trying to rent this storage unit to a customer, but they're at the unit right now. There's a lock on the unit that they rented. There's a lock on it. I don't know what to do." It would have been very easy and natural for me as a business owner to say, "Get out of my way. I'll call the customer." Okay,
Right.
get out of my way. I'll call the customer, and then you end up solving a lot of problems for your employees. And I do an analogy where your employee walks into your office. I know a lot of us work remotely now, but your employee walks in your office. They have a monkey on their back, and it's jumping around, it's hooting and hollering, ooh ooh ah, ah, whatever it is. And as soon as they tell you the problem, that monkey is the problem. That monkey jumps on your desk.
Yep.
Now it's Nick Huber's problem. That monkey's in my office. And a lot of business owners, they just tell their employee to leave. Okay, I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it. And it's natural. It's easier because we're better at solving the problem. It takes less time actually in the near term to go ahead and wrangle monkeys. But what happens is at the end of the day, it's 4:55 p.m. and you have an office full of monkeys. You have a ton of problems. All the problems inside the company are coming to you. So I like to make sure I send my employees out the door with the monkey on their back. They're going to take their own problem with them, and I'm just going to simply arm them with the tools they need to solve the problem. So what I do is I respond with a question. Well, okay, a customer's at this storage unit. They can't rent the unit. What are our goals? Like, let's back up. What's our goal here? Well, Nick, our goal is to rent more storage units because if we rent more storage units, we make more money. Okay, good. Okay, great. So if that's our goal, what would you potentially do to solve this problem? Sometimes the employee starts to stammer, they don't know. You get a good look into their mind while they're doing this too. You get to see who's competent, who's potentially good at making decisions. But a lot of times they'll say, actually, I know the storage facility is only 70% occupied. I know we have 40 empty units. Why don't I just call the customer and tell them to move into unit 17 instead of unit 18? It's right next door. It's wide open. Okay, boom. Awesome. Great solution. Good job. Get out of my office. Take your monkey with them. So an employee comes in, they have these problems. I'm not going to be their support system. I'm not going to, take that problem for them. They're going to get used to coming to me with these problems, and I'm just simply responding with questions. I'm responding with questions, and they are going to solve that problem for themselves. And two things happen. The employee gets practice making decisions. Decision making is a muscle too. They're going to get practice making decisions. They're going to get more comfortable solving problems, and I'm going to get a look into the mind of the employee. I'm looking at how that employee thinks. I'm thinking, oh, wow, that employee answered that question all wrong. They're actually not good at solving problems. Or, damn, that employee's doing a really good job. I can tell, okay, maybe they can actually manage other people. Maybe they can make some of their own decisions. And I think this leads right into the two levels of delegation. There's two levels of delegation. Level one, I'm going to tell other people what to do. That's it. If they come to me with a question, a problem, a decision to make, I'm going to make all the decisions as a business owner. You can grow a big business that way. I've seen people with 15 employees making $500,000 a year where every single decision flows through to the business owner. The second level of delegation, the harder level, is to start to delegate decision making. And if you can delegate decisions to other people, meaning other employees, your people are starting to make decisions, that is when your world will open up and you'll be on vacation and come back from vacation and they'll be like, hey, Nick, while you were gone, these 5 problems happened and I made these 5 decisions to solve those problems. And you're like, wow, I have an asset. I have a business and kind of my delegation has really leveled up.
It's a great principle, great story on that one. Let's I want to leave I think we should each give kind of like our one big what's one of our biggest points that we want people to make sure that they have before they go. For me, I would say a lot of people in this room right now or listening to this are going to be You're an executive, you're a CEO of a company. Your most valuable asset is your time and your ability to make clear decisions. One of the most common things you'll see is people who are bogged down, too busy, mind is cluttered, can't make the good decisions. For them, often the best hire they should make is just a VA, a remote assistant, somebody whose job is just to make them function better.
Yep. I hire VAs for my people too. Like I'll literally, if I have a high performing person at my company, I'll hire a VA for them so that they don't go home and have to answer a bunch of emails every night after they've been on the job all day.
That's exactly right. I do this for, our pretty much our full exec team. It's kind of like, here's your bonus. Your bonus is I've now hired you an assistant, right? And I'm going to teach you how to do it. So then I have to teach them how to use an assistant because most people don't really know. Here's kind of the quick and dirty on how to actually use an assistant. So first,
where do you find one first? I mean, a quick shout out to supportshepherd.com. Go to supportshepherd.com, fill out the form, get yourself an assistant. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. But what they do that's key is what you don't want is just anyone overseas. You want the top 1%. And so you tell them, hey, I'm looking for a virtual assistant. I want one of the best. Give me somebody who's already supported a CEO before.
Yep.
They'll find you somebody amazing in that way without you having to go and do a bunch of interviews and figure this out yourself. So when they come in, you need your bread and butter. So you need your thing that they can do every day that adds value to your life without you giving them direction. Okay. So what's the thing they can do every day that you don't need to give them direction? So for me, mine was email. I was like, hey, my email inbox is crazy. You're going to now manage this. And so she triages it into these like 4 sections. It's like action items, needs a reply, read it later if you're interested. Right. And so now I only check my email twice a day for about 20 minutes each. Whereas I used to be, like a monkey, just kind of refreshing all the time because I didn't want to miss anything. Number 2, remember the goal. The goal of having a personal assistant is so you spend more time in your zone of genius. If you're an engineer, it's building. If you're a salesperson, it's selling. If you're a product designer, it's designing the product. You want your assistant to do that. What a lot of people do is that they're like, I don't know what this person will do every day. It's like, dude, I don't care if they work 3 hours a day. If that's 3 hours you get back in your zone of genius, it is worth it. That kind of gives you to the next thing, which is how much does it cost and is it worth it? How do you actually price this thing? So the way I look at this is, it's an investment. So you're thinking, all right, how much do I got to put in and what do I get out? So the put in part is about 10 grand a year. That's what it costs to get most virtual assistants. There's companies out there that'll hire you an assistant and charge you a monthly fee, but they basically take 2/3 of that fee. This is the company, and every single month forever. Versus Shepherd, they're just like, hey, if you hire somebody, you pay us one time, and then that's it. After that, monthly, you're just paying this person maybe $800 a month. That's sort of the average from there. And then how do you actually model the return? Well, you have to sort of like I have this down here somewhere. You have to look at your annual income and then you get your hourly rate. So like if you're making 100 grand a year, your hourly rate is $50. So just to break even on this person, you need to say 4 hours in a week, right? Yeah. Less than an hour a day of savings, of saved time for this to be a profitable investment. And obviously, if your plan is to get to $500,000 a month or $500,000 a year or $1 million a year, you only need to save a tiny amount in order to get your time.
Your time just becomes so valuable as a business owner. Yeah.
Yeah. Naval, who's one of the sort of most wise kind of people in Silicon Valley, he has this thing, set an absurd hourly rate early on in your career. If you really believe in yourself as a high potential person, he set his as five grand an hour back when he was in his 20s. He's like, if my blender broke, I'm not going to go return it because that return is an hour. It's something I don't want to do. And it's an hour of my time. And I'm going to price my time more than the $90 of that blender cost or whatever. And so you really want to price your time. And that's why, having an assistant is very, very helpful. There's some stuff around security that I would recommend as well. So create a firewall between your financial accounts and your personal accounts. So there's a full system here as far as to do it. If you want it, just go to ShaanPuri.com/remote assistant. But one of the best parts of this is, let's say you're going to do this. So I charge $250 for this system. And then I give you a bunch of things like job template, the applicant quiz, the inbox management system, all of this, the templates. But if you hire somebody through Shepherd, it's basically an action tax. If you buy this and you don't take any action, it costs you $250. If you buy this and you actually hired an assistant, which you took action on it, you not only get your money back, it's free because you get $500 of cash credit. So, you pay $250 for this, but you actually make $250 as a reward for actually taking action.
Where can people sign up?
This is on just ShaanPuri.com/remote assistant. Okay. If you don't want the system, that's fine. But I highly recommend get an assistant for you if you're a business owner or an operator, because your time is the choke point. It's the bottleneck. It's the thing that's preventing you from really adding more value to your business. It's the number one thing I think people cheap out on, and I really just don't understand it. I advise any company I invest in to do this.
We have one really good question. Somebody says, I see that you can hire a employee in either the Philippines or Colombia. What are the advantages or disadvantages, or Latin America? What are the advantages or disadvantages of each? And at my real estate private equity company, we have about 20 employees in the Philippines, and we have 12, 13 in Latin America. Latin America is really strong with sales. So if you need a business development, you need somebody to do client nurturing, you need somebody to go do cold calling. The culture in Latin America is really good for sales. Also, engineering type roles, data driven roles, management type roles. They're really just have a really eager to make decisions and take charge and lead other people. And we've had a lot of success in the Philippines with really good English, customer service, collections, data entry, and also VAs, and there's paralegals and stuff like that. So both areas, obviously, there's exceptions to that rule, but those are some of the strong suits to hiring in each area. And Shepherd, the folks at Support Shepherd will help you figure that out. So I think if there's one main takeaway that I want people to to go from this with, we have some company. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think that it's turn yourself as a business owner into a hunter for talent. You're hunting, right? It's not, I'm sitting back, I'm going to post a job, I'm going to hope that somebody walks in the door and does the job, and that they apply for my job, and that they become really excited to do it. I'm going to change my mindset to where I am hunting for talent all the time. I am out, I am looking, I am in the streets, like getting gritty, looking for people who want to work with me. I'm hunting. And I think the fact is that 80% of people already have a job they like and a boss who doesn't want to lose them. Maybe 10 people are totally unemployed and 10% of people are actively looking. Most of the workforce has a job they like and they have a boss that doesn't want to lose them. Turns out they're the most competent people. So most of the best people that I've hired, you're literally going out and hunting and convincing them to leave a job and join your company.
Yeah, yes, exactly. All right. So let's wrap it up with I guess a call to action, or maybe we can answer some questions. Let's Call to action to me is take a moment, write down in your business, what is the bottleneck in your business? So somebody asked this, Robbie in the chat says, how do you know it's the time to make the hire? When do you know? How do you know when to actually make the hire?
I can answer that one.
Yeah.
As soon as you get the hunch that you might need a hire, you'll make the hire. And 2 weeks after you have that person on your team, you'll wonder how you did it without them. That has been my experience.
Yeah. For me, I always just write down okay, I'm here. I'm trying to get to this new goal. What's the bottleneck? If the bottleneck is, some amount of work that's not being done because there's no one to do it, or your time, you should be spending it over here, but instead you're spending it over there. You've identified the bottleneck, and it's either your time or it's somebody else's time that's not in your company today. You need to be able to then write down, okay, who's that person I would hire that would be able to pull that off? Who's the person I would hire that would unblock my bottleneck?
Yeah. And who am I going to find? Not how am I going to do this? I think a lot of business owners are thinking, how can I get X done? How can I learn how to do that? It's more like, hey, who can I find that knows how to do this? Who can I find? Yes. So something that's been really powerful for me is realizing that investing in people are an investment. It's not a line item and expense. If I pay somebody 10 grand a year, I can make 50, 100. There's no upside really to what I could potentially make. And it same applies to the people on my team. If I can make them more efficient by getting them, this has been a recent unlock for me, is just hiring, virtual employees to assist my high-powered, people at my company, letting them become more effective. We have a self-storage portfolio in upstate New York of about 15 properties, all in the same 2 counties. They're about an hour drive between them. And we have a full-time person there. He's running around, he's cutting locks, he's doing all the auctions, he's taking care of sweeping out units, picking up trash, managing all the vendors. And he called me, he's like, Nick, I am slammed. Like I'm doing the work of 3 people. I get home every night and I haven't been near my computer all day. Then I got to answer emails with the team. We hired him a VA. He got a VA, and now all the time, all day while he's working, he has an assistant on his team in his ear, guiding him around, helping him be more efficient, more effective on the ground. It was an amazing thing. And we found, that person through supportshepherd.com too.
All right, let's see if there's any other good questions here in the chat.
what, and while you're listening, we got another 5 or 6 minutes here. We might take it off early, but comment in this Q&A, just question style. What was your gold nugget? What did you learn? Was this high value for you? And because Shaan and I, we sometimes do these and it's just us two talking to each other. We don't know exactly what you took away from it.
Yeah, yeah, would love to hear that. And that's why we do this, right? There's we're hoping to help as many people as we can with this hour of time. All right, so here's a good one. Somebody says, when you bring on somebody who is when you bring somebody on, what do you design in those kind of first 2 weeks? First 2 weeks when you bring somebody on, especially an overseas employee who's going to maybe if it's your first overseas hire that you've never done before, how would you think about those first 2 weeks?
Mm-hmm. I think it's, I mean, they have a training system where they're going to come in and shadow an employee. Really, it's either me, they're going to shadow me, they're going to watch what I'm doing, because sometimes I'm so busy, it's so much chaos that I don't have time to set aside 4 hours every morning to run through and do training. We also have call recordings. They can, like, if a new BDR, new salesperson comes into our team, their first week is watching hours and hours of our BDRs that are trained on calls with customers so that they can get the hang of it. And it's just getting a feel for what the job is, and you'll be really impressed sometimes at how good these folks are.
I would say for me, one thing that works really well is when I'm hiring, I don't like to do a bunch of job interviews. I don't personally enjoy the kind of calls back and forth. And so I just write a very brief task. So I say, whatever the job is going to be, as close as I can approximate it to it, I will have them do it. And I'll say, please record a Loom video. Here's Loom. Record a Loom video of you going through the process of delivering this work, right? Of doing this task, and talk out loud while you do it, so I can hear how you think, which tells me what is their communication skills and their English proficiency. How do they think about things? How adept are they at figuring things out, just Googling and finding solutions? And I tell them, look, it doesn't need to be perfect. If you're Googling random stuff, I want to basically see how you solve the problem of trying to figure out how to do this. And maybe they already know how to do it, or they're having to figure out how to do it. That one Loom video, which I can watch on 2x speed, all of a sudden shrinks this kind of like, I need to schedule time to interview you, and I need to come in here and I got to ask you questions and I got to follow up and blah, blah, blah.
We also have a Loom library too, like in Notion, where all of our videos are organized so that as employees have questions during their first month of employment, they can search in the database and they can find the answers through kind of it's not necessarily a business plan, but it's more like a manual organized in Notion and searchable in Notion that shows them exactly how things are to be done.
Exactly. And by the way, I also delegate to my assistant to watch them. I'm like, hey, you're the first line of defense. You watch these. If it's good, if you think they're good, do it. And if we have a difference of opinion, I will say, I didn't think this one was good for this reason. So now she knows what to look up for next time. But that cuts my interview time, hiring time, so, way, way, way down, and increases the accuracy, because again, if you have two choices, you just look at someone's resume or you talk to them versus you actually see them do a project, you're always going to get more out of it. And I'll happily pay for them to do that project too. Like, cool, here's $100, do this thing. And, I'm trying to get a sense for how they actually work. And that's a big hack that happens before you've even made the hire.
We have a question. What happens if a hire goes bad with supportshepherd.com and they guarantee the hire for, is it 3 months, 6 months almost?
Yeah, I think it's 90 days. Yeah.
Yeah, 90 days. In the first 90 days, they'll find somebody else for you.
They'll refund the fee. They'll find somebody else for you. Whatever you're looking for, they'll take care of you.
Yeah, this is good. I think we crushed it, man. A lot of people are sharing a lot of gold nuggets they had.
Yes, dude. Fun as always. I'm glad I learned something, which is always the best when we do these. Is I take a note of a golden nugget. For me, it was when the kind of the monkey problem, because I have that tendency. Somebody comes in with a problem, I'm like, just give me that. Let me just do it. And now I've taken the monkey off their back, put it on my desk, and I've trained them that that's how we solve problems here. And so it's like, even if you hired somebody, if you didn't actually empower them to actually be the one who solves things, you're teaching them to just fill your office with a bunch of monkeys. And I think that
you get more. I've learned that as a business owner, you get more of what you tolerate. And if you tolerate folks coming to you and dishing their problems off to you all the time, then they're going to bring you more of their problems. Why wouldn't they?
Indeed. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining. Yep. Take care, guys.
Bye.